When Ada was 7 months pregnant, her boyfriend abandoned her in the rain, with nothing but a plastic bag of clothes and a swollen belly. He said she was too much baggage for his new Lecky lifestyle. But what he didn't know was that inside her womb, she carried not just a baby, but a future king. Homeless, broke, rejected, Ada begged on a bridge in Ojalegba just to eat. But one painful night changed everything. From selling Accra by the roadside to owning a luxury real estate brand in Banana Island. This is the untold story of how a forgotten woman raised a legend. And when the father returned years later, the entire country watched what Ada did next. The name alone paints the picture. Rusted rooftops, tangled power lines, and the smell of survival. Adana, just 24, lived in a one-room face-me-a-face with her aunt and 3 cousins. She had big dreams, but no connections. Her only escape was in books and prayers whispered into a leaking ceiling. She worked at Mama Nkechi's roadside food shack, turning umla in torn slippers while watching G-Wagons drive by. Then came Tund, the customer with a gold watch, a silver tongue, and lies wrapped in promises. He said he saw a queen in her. She believed him. On her 25th birthday, Tund took her to a lounge in Lekki, her first time crossing 3rd Mainland Bridge for something other than work. Neon lights danced on her brown skin. She wore borrowed heels and a second-hand wig. He said, "You won't serve umla forever. I'll put you in an apartment. I'll change your life." She laughed nervously, but when he kissed her forehead and said, "Trust me, baby," she melted. 3 months later, she was living in a mini flat in Suralere, upgraded her wardrobe, and felt like destiny had smiled at last. Then the nausea came. Adana stared at the pregnancy test in her bathroom, a basic place with cracked tiles, a faded curtain, and a lingering smell of Dettol. 2 red lines. She smiled. Her baby would have what she never did, a father, a home, a better life. But when she called Tund, he didn't answer. The next day, nothing. 1 week later, his number no longer existed. Then his Instagram posted, "Starting fresh. Europe bound. Big dreams only. No goodbye. No explanation. Just a vanished man and a growing belly. And a woman with nothing but fire." Adana's aunt was furious. "You let man deceive you with suya and shawarma? Now see your life." Evicted, mocked, and 3 months pregnant, Adana carried her Ghana must-go bag across the road to nowhere. She cried under a mango tree until Mama Titi, an old trader, let her sleep behind her shop. That night, with her back on the cement floor and her hand on her belly, Adana whispered, "I don't need his millions. I will make mine. I will raise you to walk where they once said I could never enter." The hunger was real, but her will, unbreakable. Mama Titi handed her a plastic bowl and a bar of soap. "Wash clothes. Feed your belly. No shame in hustle." Adana became the go-to laundry girl for half the street. She washed uniforms, bedsheets, even underwear. Her knuckles bruised and fingers wrinkled. She saved every naira in a Milo tin, hid beneath broken crates. People laughed. This one-way day, Carrie Bell Day, do laundry. Now so she go suffer tire. But every scrub was a promise. My son will never beg. He will wear suits, not second-hand sins. The city slept, but she scrubbed her future clean. Labor hit like thunder during a rainstorm in November. No hospital, no husband, just Mama Titi, hot water, and prayers. Adana screamed into night as thunder echoed her pain. 12 hours later, with sweat and tears, she gave life to a boy. She named him Zion, because even in exile her faith lived. As she held him, trembling and weak, she whispered, "You are my beginning. You are my empire." Rain leaked through the roof, but her heart overflowed with purpose. The world had abandoned her, but she had given birth to her crown. With Zion strapped to her back, Adana began selling second-hand clothes in Balaga Market. She bought bales and pieces, haggle with importers, and learned to turn rags into returns. She gave customers fashion tips, ironed shirts on old benches, and used humor as marketing. People came back. Then came more. She made $15,000 in 1 week, more than she'd ever held. That night, she didn't sleep. She sketched on cardboard. Zion wears affordable luxury. She didn't have walls yet, but she had a brand. And vision? Vision was what would raise her from street dust to skyscrapers. One sunny Saturday, Adana styled a man in thrift, shirt, blazer, belt, and snapped his photo with a Nokia. She borrowed a friend's phone to post it on Instagram with the tag. #ZionWears, dignity on a budget. By Monday, the post had 4,000 views. By Friday, a micro-influencer reposted it. By Sunday, a fashion blogger DM'd her. "Can you style me for my next shoot?" Adana didn't even own a smartphone, but the streets that mocked her were starting to whisper her name. Something was shifting. Her fire had caught wind. A white Benz slowed beside her table at Balagan Market. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a soft-spoken woman in designer shades. "You styled Temmie the blogger, right? I need 10 custom looks for an event in Ikoyi." Adana froze. 10 looks? She had thrift clothes, not a showroom. But she smiled. "Yes, Ma. I'll deliver by Thursday." For the first time, someone wasn't buying rags. They were buying her taste. That night, she worked by lantern, stitching, ironing, even repainting buttons with nail polish. And Thursday, she didn't sleep. She showed up with style and a story sewn into every thread. With the Ikoyi gig came new eyes. Then came a call. "Madam, we love your work. Can you style our bridal party?" She used a deposit to rent a single-room salon space in Suralere, painted the walls cream, bought a ring light, framed a poster. "Zion wears, dress loud, speak soft." She stitched every item by hand. No tailors, no interns, just faith, fire, and her son sleeping behind the sewing machine. Her name began popping up on fashion pages. One blogger called her the street stylist who's changing Lego's fashion. Adana wasn't shocked. She was hungry, and hunger builds empires. "Hello? This is Funmi from Lego's Fashion Week. We've been watching your Instagram." Adana almost dropped her phone. They wanted her for a feature on rising African designers. No fee, no payment, just exposure. She should have said no, but she said yes. That night, she stayed up sketching a mini collection. 6 outfits inspired by single mothers. She named it the Rebirth Series. The event was at Eco Hotel. Lights, cameras, celebrities. She wore a simple gown she'd stitch herself, thrift silk, and 3000 beads. And when her designs hit the runway, people whispered, "Who is she?" But God already knew. After the show, a popular lifestyle photographer snapped a shot. Adana, smiling in a thrift silk gown, holding Zion on her hip, a sleeping king. He posted it with the caption, "She came with thread, left with thunder." Within hours, it went viral. 10K likes. DMs flooded in. Investors, stylists, influencers. Zion Wears became more than a hustle. It became a movement. Women messaged her, "You make me believe again." She cried that night, not because she was famous, but because the girl who was once laughed at on the roadside was now trending on the timeline. A sleek Escalade rolled up outside a glass office in Banana Island. Adana stepped out in heels she once only admired in magazines. She was meeting Tolu Adedekin, CEO of Lux Glam Group. He smiled, extended a firm hand. "We want to invest 15 million naira. Zion wears a soul. Let's give it structure." She didn't blink. She'd practiced her pitch 100 times. She asked for board control, creative freedom, and daycare space in the showroom. He was stunned. "You're tough." "I'm a mother," she replied. That day, she didn't just sign papers. She signed a new chapter. The school gates were gold-trimmed. The air smelled like imported roses. "Welcome to Gracefield Academy, ma'am," the receptionist said, bowing slightly. Zion clutched her hand, unsure. Inside, the halls were spotless, with touch-screen boards and violin music echoing softly. Other moms whispered, their Chanel perfumes mixing with curiosity. "Isn't that the designer from Instagram?" She looked so young. Adana walked tall. She may not have been born with wealth, but today her son would sit where only legacy kids sat. She kissed Zion's forehead. "Go shine, my love, just like your name." At a fashion gala in Victoria Island, Adana wore a gold satin dress that caught every light, but it was his eyes that caught hers. A tall, caramel-skinned man in a tuxedo, clean beard, Rolex, and calm charm. "Nice to meet you," he said. "I'm Meiji. I run a tech firm in London. I flew in just to see the woman behind Zion Wares." He didn't compliment her beauty. He praised her ambition. That night, they danced once. No words, just rhythm. And when he walked her to her car, he smiled. "Next time, I hope you let me take you to dinner, not the runway." It was 6:23 a.m. when her phone rang. She almost ignored it until she saw the name, Emeka. Her heart stuttered. The man who left her pregnant and alone was calling. She answered, her voice calm. "Hello." Silence. Then a breath. "Adana, I saw your interview on Channels TV. You look powerful." She didn't speak. He continued, "I'm back in Nigeria. I want to see Zion. Please." That name, Zion, on his lips felt foreign. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with fury and the question, was he here as a father or a threat? She agreed to meet him. In public. Ikoyi Club for PM. Neutral grounds. Adana sat poised in a linen jumpsuit. No makeup drama, just elegance. Then Emeka walked in. Same build, same smirk, but thinner, rougher, humbled. His eyes lit up when he saw her. "You look like Legos money." She didn't flinch. "You look like Legos regret." He chuckled nervously. "I was young, confused. I thought you'd hold me back. But you built an empire." She raised a brow. "I built a son." He sat up straighter. "I want to meet him." Adana sipped her drink. "That depends. Are you here to repair or just revisit?" He showed up with a bouquet of books, not flowers, each wrapped in navy ribbon. "Thought Zion might like these," Meiji said, kneeling to meet the boy's eyes. Zion smiled shyly. He'd only ever seen Uncle in cartoons. Adana stood quietly, watching. No theatrics, just gestures. They played chess. Meiji let Zion win, twice, then asked him about his dreams. "I want to build cars that don't need petrol," Zion said. Meiji's smile deepened. "You're already ahead of your time." And just like that, a new seed of fatherhood began to grow, where none had been planted. The Women of Power panel was packed. Senators, CEOs, and TV crews all under one roof in eco-hotels. Adana sat beside Titans. Lights hit her face. Cameras rolled. "How did single motherhood shape your journey?" a moderator asked. She paused, then answered, "It broke me, then built me. I learned to raise a child and a company at the same time. I was left for empty, but I filled myself." The audience erupted in applause. But in the back row, Emeka sat unnoticed. He didn't clap, just stared, ashamed and awed. And in another row, Meiji leaned back, smiling. The two men watching the same woman, but with very different hearts. It was the launch of Zion Wares' luxury children's line. Red carpet, flashing bulbs, celebrities. Adana arrived in emerald green, bold, breathtaking. On her left, Meiji dashing in black. Photographers swarmed. Then chaos. Emeka appeared. Uninvited, he pushed through the cameras. "Adana, you forgot where this started." The crowd gasped. Reporters leaned in. Daimeji stepped forward. Security moved, but Adana raised her hand. She walked between the two men, turned to the cameras, and said, "Tonight is not about who hurt me. It's about who I raised." She pulled Zion beside her. "Smile, son. This is your night." The nation stood still. By morning, the internet was on fire. Hashtag Red Carpet Showdown. Hashtag Adana and the Two Kings. Abandoned baby mama turned millionaire. Some called her powerful. Others called her dramatic. TV stations replayed the footage. Adana sat on her cream leather couch, watching. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Endorsements pausing. Investors asking for clarity. Zion? He was trending too. She kissed his forehead. "No one's using you for gossip," she whispered. Her assistant burst in. "Ma, Vogue Africa just canceled the shoot." Adana stood, then smirked. "Fine, call Vanity Fair." Daimeji sat in his Lekki Phase 1 apartment, sipping aged whiskey. His mentor called. "You're too polished to be tabloid bait, son. Let her go." But he couldn't. He saw more than a scandal. He saw a fighter, a queen, a mother. He thought of how Zion had hugged him last week, like he belonged. He replayed her words. "Tonight isn't about who hurt me." Daimeji knew he had to step back or step in, and if he stepped in, it had to be forever. He booked dinner. Private, no cameras. Tonight, he would ask her a question. Not for now, for always. Emeka waited outside her office, sweating in a borrowed blazer. He was broke. Again. But this time, something had cracked. When Adana emerged, flanked by security, he raised both hands. No drama. Just 10 minutes. She hesitated, then nodded. They sat inside. "I'm not here for money," he began. "I came to say I'm sorry. Not for leaving, but for underestimating you." He slid a small, old photo across the table. Her pregnancy scan. "I kept this. All these years. Couldn't face it." Adana's throat tightened. She didn't speak, only nodded, then quietly whispered, "I forgive you, but I don't need you." Private rooftop. Table for two. Lanterns flickered. The Lekki skyline glittered. Adana walked in, draped in a gold silk gown. Daimeji stood. "Before anything else happens, I need to know where we're going." She took her seat. "No drama tonight," she said, half smiling. They talked, laughed, shared peppered snails and soft jazz. Then silence. He reached into his jacket, brought out a box. Not a proposal. Yet, just a promise. That I won't run. That Zion won't lack. That you'll never stand alone again. Adana's eyes watered. Her hand trembled. She whispered, "This feels like healing." Monday morning. Her boardroom was tense. The international investors were on Zoom. "Adana, your image is strong, but this scandal could affect the brand. We recommend stepping down as CEO temporarily." Silence. Her lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Her heart thudded. Step down? From what she bled to build. A male board member added, "A graceful pause protects your legacy." She stood slowly, walked to the window. "I built Adana Lux from the floor up. No par, mess, or man will shake me on my throne." They blinked. She turned. "If it's my image you're worried about, I'll multiply it with power." Later that night, Adana found Zion in his room, sketching on his tablet. He looked up. "Mommy, are you sad?" She hesitated. "A little. Grown-up sad." He nodded, then walked over with a surprising calmness. "You told me kings don't quit, right?" Her heart swelled. "Yes, baby." He tapped her shoulder like a coach. "Then go back out there. Show them who trained the king." She laughed, wiping tears. He hugged her tight. That night, she stared at the ceiling in silence. The world wanted her to shrink, but her son just reminded her she was born to rise. The next morning, Adana arrived at the Women Who Lead Africa conference, wearing the very scandal they tried to shame her with. Custom gown, gold embroidery, a royal cape stitched with her viral red carpet image, repurposed as fashion. The crowd gasped. Reporters swarmed. One shouted, "How do you respond to critics who say you're dramatic?" She smiled, lips gloss and fierce plum. "Drama didn't break me. It crowned me." Applause exploded. A tweet read, "She's not a boss. She's a blueprint." That day, Adana wasn't just admired. She became a movement. Luxury, motherhood, power, unapologetic. That night, Daimeji stood in his penthouse, glass in hand, watching her interview on TV. He smiled, but in his eyes, conflict brewed. His father had called again. Marry a woman with fewer headlines, son. His law firm subtly suggested he distance himself. Adana's star was too bright, too bold, but he remembered Zion's laughter. Adana's voice in the dark. "I don't need a man, but I want a partner." He turned off the TV, looked out over the glittering city. His mind made up he'd fight for her, but only if she'd still let him. Adana's empire shook. A confidential investor report leaked. Competitor brands had exact figures, even marketing plans. She paced in her office, fists clenched. "Only 5 people had access," she whispered. Lola, her longtime assistant, looked panicked. "Nah, I swear it wasn't me." But Adana already knew. She turned to her head of strategy, her childhood friend, Amaka. The silence between them screamed, "I brought you in when no one else believed in you." Amaka blinked. "I was tired of living in your shadow." Betrayal didn't always wear the face of man. Sometimes it wore lipstick and history. While chaos brewed, Zion had his own plan. He sat with a tablet, uploading a video to TikTok, his voice clear, his eyes full of love. "My name is Zion. My mommy built her company alone. Some people are trying to break it, but she's not scared. She's a lion." The post ended with his tiny hands holding a sign. Hashtag Stand with Adana. It went viral overnight. Celebrities reposted. Clients canceled the smear deals. Zion, just 6 years old, did what PR firms couldn't. He reminded the world of her soul, and hers of their unbreakable bond. 2 weeks later, the Lagos Elite Charity Gala. Diamonds, cameras, power. Adana was a vision in royal blue. Then suddenly, the lights dimmed. Daimeji appeared on stage. He spoke into the mic. She built herself. She raised a king. She taught the world what grace looks like. Gasps echoed. Then he knelt, held up a ring that sparkled like the life she created. "Adana, I don't want to rescue you. I just want to stand beside you. Will you marry me?" The crowd erupted, but her heart froze, because just then, Zion's father stepped out from the shadows, clapping. The room felt like it held its breath. Zion's father walked closer. "Yes, I clapped, because this moment, it's mine too. She didn't raise a king alone. She raised my son." Gasps turned to whispers. The media lights flashed. Adana stood, breathless. Zion clutched her hand. She looked from Daimeji, loyalty, love, new fire. To Zion's father, history, wounds, unfinished pain. A single tear rolled down her cheek, but her back stayed straight. She held the mic and said, "Let me tell you how this story ends. I choose." The ballroom was frozen in time. Adana took a deep breath. The mic shook slightly in her hand, but her voice did not. "I choose my son, and the peace I built." Gasps erupted. She turned to Daimeji, gently closed the ring box. "You showed me love again, and I'm grateful." Then to Zion's father, "You gave me a seed, but you lost the soil long ago." She looked at the crowd. "You don't need to marry power to prove power. I am enough." Her voice calm, her decision final. She picked up Zion, kissed his forehead, and walked off the stage with grace. Applause followed her, not for drama, but for a woman who chose herself and her crown. The car ride home was quiet. Zion looked up. "Mommy, are you sad?" Adana smiled through moist eyes. "No, baby, I'm free." The media storm roared outside. Social media split into Team Daimeji and Team Baby Daddy. But inside her home, there was only peace. She sat by her window, watching the Lekki lights twinkle. She wasn't just a businesswoman. She was a healed woman. And healing wasn't loud. It was silent. It was soft music, warm tea, and a boy who made it all worth it. Zion's school was holding Parents' Day. But this time, he wasn't nervous. He walked on stage in a suit that matched his confidence. "My mummy is my hero. She never gave up. She made her own company when others said she couldn't. And I'll make mine too." Parents stood. Teachers cried. Adana, in the front row, couldn't stop the tears. He wasn't just a boy anymore. He was becoming the king she had always envisioned. A king who knew where he came from and who gave thanks for it. That day, the world saw what legacy truly looked like. Months later, a billboard lit up on Third Mainland Bridge. Zion and Company, Africa's first kid-owned natural skincare brand. Powered by Adana, inspired by her journey. Built with the heart of a child who watched greatness rise. They weren't just a brand now. They were a movement. From abandoned to admired. From pain to prestige. From survival to empire. Adana stood before a room of young women at a mentorship event. Never beg someone to stay. Build something they'll wish they never left. The room erupted in cheers. She smiled. Her throne was solid. Her story eternal. One evening, while organizing old documents, Adana found it. A yellowed envelope. The handwriting familiar. Inside, a letter dated 8 years ago, from Zion's father. It read, "If you're reading this, I'm gone. I was scared. I failed you, but I never stopped watching from afar. One day, he'll be a king, because he came from a queen." Tears fell, but not from pain, from closure. She looked out the window. Life didn't owe her anything, but it had given her everything, because she'd chosen to keep moving. When everything begged her stop, CNN Africa called. They wanted to feature her. A single mother who built a multi-million naira skincare empire. The set was elite. Her dress? Pure Nigerian luxury. Also oak lace with gold. She sat confidently. Interviewer: "What's your biggest lesson?" Adana smiled. "That healing is power, and forgiveness is wealth." The segment went viral. Across Africa, young women whispered her name like a prayer. She wasn't just a business mogul. She was a blueprint. Proof that queens aren't born, they rise from ruins. Zion was now 18. Graduation night. As valedictorian, he stood tall before thousands. "I am the son of a woman who didn't bend, who didn't beg, who didn't break. Everything I am, I owe to her." Crowd, silent, then thunderous applause. Later that night, he knelt beside her. "Mom, wherever you go next, I'll build it beside you. You carried me. Now, let me carry the vision." She touched his face. "You are the vision, Zion." They hugged like souls reunited. From womb to world, they were one. Mother and king. Adana stood before 5,000 women in Abuja. The launch of the Adana Foundation, for single mothers by a mother who overcame. She took the mic. "When they left you, God didn't. When they mocked you, time listened. And when they doubted you, your child watched." A standing ovation. She looked to the side of the stage. Zion was there, smiling. Her crown wasn't made of gold. It was made of grit, tears, and unstoppable love. This was no ending. Just another sunrise in the empire she built alone. From tears under Ojuelegba Bridge to signing deals in Banana Island, Ada didn't just survive. She transformed pain into power. She didn't raise a child, she raised a king. And now, the same world that once ignored her can't stop watching her rise. But here's the truth. There are thousands of Adass out there, abandoned, judged, forgotten. And if this story touched your heart, then it's time to do more than just watch. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, @Echoes Africa Stories, for more true African stories of pain, power, and purpose. Drop your city in the comments if you believe in the strength of a mother's love. Because queens don't crumble, they rebuild kingdoms.